stoked to welcome you to my first ever Draw With Me video. For this video, we will be drawing the character Alexandra Trese from the Filipino comics, spelled with a K, and the Netflix series Trese. The comic is written by Mr. Budjette Tan and illustrated by Mr. Kajo Baldisimo. It is one of the most popular comics in the Philippines. I'm using Liquitex Professional ink in carbon black. It will be the only color we'll be using. We'll be sketching out the illustration with Stabillo and Staedtler graphic pencils. Brushing the ink with Marie script liner brushes. And working on the Canson XL Bristol paper in A4 size. Now that we're ready, let's draw Trese. Trese had 3 dubs. First was the original English dub with Shane Mitchell as Trese, the Filipino dub with Liza Soberano leading the cast, and the Japanese dub with Ryoko Shiraishi as the protagonist Seiyu. I watched the Tagalog dub first, followed by half of the English dub. I'm Filipino, so it seemed more natural that way, even if the comic is in English. I say this as someone who would often choose the English option, which is what I'm used to unless the original language is something else, like watching K-dramas in Korean and anime in Japanese. Speaking of Japanese, I wanted to watch the Japanese dub, but I got a lot of shows to catch up on, so I'll just get back on it later. I wanted to brush up on my Japanese skills by watching a show in a Filipino setting with a Japanese dub on. Learning Japanese by translating Filipino vocabulary is something that I'm not used to, even if my Nihongo senseis told stories about Japan and Filipino. Most of our references in class are also in English, so that's why learning a non-English language via another non-English language is an interesting challenge for someone who was conditioned to learn in English. How did I find the show? Well, I did appreciate it, and for it being the first original Filipino animated series, it did well. But for some of my friends and acquaintances, they weren't impressed with the animation. But for me, I thought, that will do. I was satisfied that they brought the story to life on screen, and that was enough for me. I've seen some anime where the animation is just a bunch of colored manga panels without the comic bubbles, but with voice actors dubbing over the dialogue, and the comic elements are animated. I enjoy those anime because of the stories, but I didn't think about the animation style that much. And I'm an artist with very high standards, by the way. I just feel like it will ruin the story for me if I focus on the technical details too much. Now going back to Trese with my long-winded explanation of why I was okay with the animation, here's my take. I still enjoy Trese knowing that the animation could be better, but I've seen worse, so I'm content with enjoying the plot. And to be fair, the Trese did what they could with what they have, and that's a good enough for me. It's actually a good enough start for Filipino animation. And after all, that's what matters, right? That they get our very own work. I'm just really happy that there's a Filipino comic that's getting an adaptation and I get to see it in action on the screen. And I'm grateful that it's happening in my lifetime. I have the same take on the voice acting, both for the Filipino and English dubs. Everyone has said their own take on the dubs for both the Filipino and the English. But overall, I'm just really happy that we have an animated adaptation of a proudly Filipino work by a Filipino creator. And I do hope that our very own creators will get more opportunities like this on a major platform like Netflix. I am praying and manifesting that we will get a lot more Filipino excellency in Netflix, please. We have a lot of original ideas that the traditional, quote-unquote, traditional media just won't accept because it's not the quote-unquote usual. Now you may be wondering why I used pencils and ink for the medium. If you go over to my Instagram, most of my art is done digitally through Procreate. I still do art traditionally, but most of the time I just sketch with pencils and pen ink. It has been a while since I used ink in a bottle and paintbrush to make a picture. So that's why I'm a little nervous in making this video, considering it's been a couple of months since I drew and painted something. And that doesn't count the times that I painted with my brother, whom I'm teaching how to draw and to paint. I haven't done anything for myself in traditional media. What makes me nervous about doing traditional art is how more permanent it is compared to digital art. In Procreate, I can just press 2 or 3 fingers to undo all of my mistakes. But with a paintbrush, I have to be extremely careful. A single unintentional stroke may change the picture. I'm quite a jittery person thanks to loving black coffee and my anxiety, so I may make strokes more than I even intend to do. And sometimes it's hard to get the color that I want, no matter how much I mix in white or black or whatever additional color I have to mix it in with. And that's another gripe I have with traditional art. You have to get things exact, or else it will look very different than you had in mind. And if you are not prepared well enough, if you didn't make any drafts or color studies, then you're on your own, pal. But on the bright side, traditional art does wonders for me too. I can focus better and get lost in the present moment. Traditional art gives me this sense of mindfulness that I get when I meditate or I get invested in journaling my thoughts and my feelings. This mindfulness is essential for me to ground myself when I feel like my thoughts are getting the best of me. Frankly, I can't say the same for digital art, where I'd be tempted to open browsers, apps, and stream videos at the same time. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually open YouTube and listen to podcasts when I'm working on a piece, but it can get distracting, and I take a lot more time to finish a piece just because I lost focus. When I work on a piece with Procreate, and I don't say this because I don't like Procreate, on the contrary, I love Procreate very much. It's helped me do my work in a more convenient platform. So when I do a piece with Procreate, sometimes I tend to open and close the app because I want to go on Spotify, or I want to check on something on Discord or whatever social media website I'm gonna check out. That's why I get distracted with digital art. The thing is, with traditional art, I have to be really mindful of what I'm doing. It's a very grounding and relaxing practice. I mentioned this a while ago, but I personally have trouble staying in the moment. And I often get into my head most of the time, not just once or twice, but I'm an INFP, so getting my head in the mental clouds in my mind, that's very common. With a pencil or a paintbrush, I can get lost in minutes, hours, days, or weeks working on a piece. This isn't to say one way is better than the other. No, I do not mean to say that traditional is better than digital, or vice versa, or that digital is worse than traditional. I'm not saying those things. I'm not making a comparison. That's not what I intend to do with this. I just appreciate what digital and traditional media both have to offer. Sometimes one medium conveys the idea better than the other medium, so it's up to the artist on what they choose so they can express that idea fully without getting distracted by the technicals. So it's just that some ideas work better on paper and canvas, other ideas work better in my iPad screen, and that's just fair in digital. But for this piece, I decided to use ink because it fits the aesthetic of Trese. I mean the original comic. The original comics covers are always in black illustrations on a white background. It only fits that I draw Alexandra Trese's Netflix design in a similar aesthetic. The lack of color also adds some edge and mystery to the drawing, which makes it look so cool. Now that I've talked about Trese and why I'm doing this illustration in traditional medium, now I'll just fill this in with updates about myself, like what I've been up to or what has been happening with me. I'll share as much without revealing too much, if you know the drift. So let me just start on this. Manila is under extended community quarantine right now, and most likely will be the same for the next weeks, considering the situation here. I work from home, so there's not much of a difference for me. Since I contracted the illness before, and gratefully I survived, and I'm thriving and kicking right now. So I'm just gonna take more precautions this time. Last year, I have been pumping a lot of digital art here and there, and I grew my art skills. I virtually met many artists, joined figure drawing sessions, and even guided my younger brother as he made his paintings. However, there were some moments in between that lessened whatever energy I had for making art. I've had to take care of other matters outside acrylic painting, or the next JoJo fan art I plan to make, or the art prompts on Twitter that always pop up. The most I could do as an artist was to study forms and sketch on my art journal. But that doesn't make me less of an artist, right? Personally, the past year has paved way for breakthroughs in being there for myself. Being in my room 24/7 has triggered some past traumas to resurface in my mind. But with the help of a professional, I worked through reframing these memories that I was afraid of and finding ways to give myself closure so I can move on and enjoy the present. Physically, I also have a regimen. I now plan my workouts by the week, so I don't have to waste energy and spontaneously searching for YouTube videos on what workout I'll be doing. My typical workout week looks like a mix of HIIT workouts, Tabata workouts, Pilates, and yoga. Sometimes I'd add some strength in there, just so I don't lose the muscle that I've worked with. Body weight is fine, although weights do help, not gonna lie about that. My diet has been more nutritious as well. I did meal planning with a pescatarian focus for the first 2 months of 2021. I prepare my meals every Sunday and I just eat them. I do all the full 7 days a week meal, and I've lost 10 pounds from that. But since I got sick, I had to settle for pre-ordered meals. I still got to work on my sleeping habits though until now, because I have tried the waking up at 5 a.m. thing and it works, but I cannot sleep early, like 9 p.m. early. I can do 10, but I feel like I could do 9, although that hasn't manifested yet, but I will work on that. But you know what? Right now, I am just grateful that I am breathing well and I'm doing better than I used to. And that's enough for me. And that is the drawing. It looks pretty good for the first ink and brush drawing in a while, and the first ever Draw With Me video. If you want to see me draw a particular subject or talk about a certain topic while drawing, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't done already, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos. So then, I'll see you in the next video.